with breaking news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Wendy Ryan.
And I'm Jameson Euler. We begin with that breaking news in Hernando County. The sheriff says a community near Spring Hill is safe tonight after a hectic evening.
Yeah, according to the sheriff, a gunman lit a barn on fire and then shot at the people who came to help put it out. ABC Action News reporter Chad Mills joining us live in Brooksville with the very latest. Chad, I understand the sheriff says 3 people were shot.
3 people, that's correct. The sheriff says the gunman shot 2 of his neighbors and then eventually deputies shot the gunman, and it all happened on Irma Road. That's an area north of Spring Hill that's just in the distance there. You see the deputies' car right there. They still have a perimeter set up this evening because there's still a lot of work to do as they investigate what is left behind, even though, according to the sheriff, the community now safe and in no threat. The sheriff says all of this happened around 5 o'clock this evening. They got a 911 call about a fire and shots fired in the area I just described. And when deputies arrived, they found a barn that was on fire, but more importantly, they found 2 people who had been shot. One was en route to the hospital in a private vehicle. Deputies had to rescue the other person who was in a yard near the home where the shooting happened. The sheriff says they had to be careful rescuing that neighbor because the suspected gunman, Steve Russa, was still at large. Eventually, they used a drone, actually flew it into the house to verify that Russa was barricaded inside his home. Deputies tried to negotiate with Russa, but the sheriff says ultimately Russa was shot by deputies and taken into custody. As for the fire, which eventually put itself out, the sheriff believes Russa lit it before the shooting.
I haven't talked with any of the witnesses, but it almost appears as though he either did not want them to extinguish the fire or it was set deliberately to lure people in to shoot them. Of course, we may never know exactly what was going through his mind at the time. If it was set intentionally to lure people over and to cause more victims, that's very frustrating, and it just goes to show that even when you're trying to do a good deed, if somebody is either seriously mentally ill or has criminal intent, you have to be very careful.
The sheriff did not say what condition the suspect Russa is in after he was shot by deputies. He also couldn't say what prompted deputies to shoot him. As for the neighbors who were shot, he thinks one of them has been released from the hospital. He's not sure about the condition of the other neighbor. What he is sure about, though, is that the scene behind me is large. It will take hours, if not days, to process. Deputies are out here, but the Florida Department of Law Enforcement out here investigating as well, collecting evidence, piecing together the series of events that led to the fire and the shooting and the aftermath. We're live here in Hernando County this evening. Chad Mills, ABC Action News.